And we're back. This is the third segment of Colombia Calling, episode 370. My very special guest is on the line to me in Bogota, and I'm in Monpos, so I'm sitting here without a fan on and sweating away. But it's a real pleasure to have Ana María Morales Cañizales on the show. She speaks fluent English, and we've been sort of following one another on Twitter for a while because I've seen some interesting posts pop up, and then other interesting posts pop up, and so we got in touch. And Ana María, well, she rescues birds of prey. I mean, how cool is that? It's like gets out there and sort of rehabilitates, I guess, and rescues and then sets them free into the wild, releases them back into the wild. So we're going to talk all about this and sort of conversation around this fact with Ana María. And well, first of all, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast, Ana María.
Hi, no, thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure. No, so you're there in rainy Bogota and I'm here in sweaty Monpos. Where would you rather be?
In Monpos. Yep. No, it's rainy, it's cold. Nope, not
a chance. Okay, cool. So, well, let's just jump straight in. I mean, it's an unusual thing. I mean, I know of a lot of women birding groups and stuff, and I've had them on the show, which has been really great. Months and months ago. And birding, of course, is a huge, I'd say, industry or pastime for people coming to Colombia because, of course, the Brits and the Americans are really into it, and it's just a high, I would say, leaves no people who spend money to come and bird and, will go out to the most extreme places. But tell me how you got involved in this and then into this, I guess, foundation that you're involved with.
Okay, well, I went to school in the US, athletic scholarship. I used to play golf. I was kind of good, so, I got a full ride. Yeah. I started with wildlife biology and got into ornithology. Loved the class. I hated it at the beginning, but then I loved it. Just fell in love. Yeah. And then during my master's program, I was working with the golf team, and I started volunteering for a lady that did wildlife rehab. Uh-huh. And I started doing it, and she got then a peregrine falcon, and that was it. I was hooked. After that, I was hooked. Yep. Found an internship at the Raptor Education Group in Wisconsin, and then I spent my summer there after I graduated. Then I worked for a year over there, and I was actually trying to stay over there, but it was expensive. It wasn't a for sure thing that I could get a green card or a working visa and all that stuff. So I returned here, and I looked for the only Raptor rehab center in Colombia that was the current foundation I'm with, which is called Fundación Águilas de los Andes. So I contacted them, and they straight from the beginning, they were like, no, we don't have money to pay you, but you're welcome to help and all that stuff. And I was like, you know what? I love birds, so let's do it. And well, it's been almost 6 years now.
So 6 years volunteering. So you have let's say you have a 9-to-5 job, and then in your weekends and spare time, you're volunteering at this Raptor Rehabilitation.
Yep, that's yep. I have a normal kind of normal paying job that does the bills and all that stuff. Yeah. And then I do a lot of social media, try to do outreach. Mm-hmm. Now with the pandemic, everything's a little bit easier on that part of the outreach because you just set up a Zoom meeting or whatever, and then you can reach a lot of people. So that's helped a little bit. And we're actually starting a couple of research projects too, so that helps, a lot with the bird passion part, I guess.
So, but tell me, so you were up in Arkansas and you were taking these classes, and it was the peregrine falcon that that was it. That was it. You were hooked.
That was it. Yeah. Well, yeah. At the time, she got there was this barred owl that came in, all poor thing, double fracture and awful. And then she also had a bald eagle at the time that she was rehabbing, but it was the peregrine. I'm not gonna lie, it was just the peregrine.
Now, is that it's the fastest bird, right? When it goes into the dive.
That's the fastest animal alive.
Yeah. See, I
It
knew
dives
that.
and it reaches up to, I think it's 290 miles or like almost 400 kilometers per hour. So
That's
yeah,
just ridiculous.
yeah, it's fast.
Yeah, because we have them in the UK. I mean, that's why I knew them. And my great uncle painted me a picture once when I expressed an interest. So
Nice.
there you go.
Yes.
So I knew about peregrine
Nice.
falcons.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because they're everywhere, I think, except Antarctica. There's just different subspecies like all over the world.
Really?
Yeah.
But they're not endangered here in Colombia, are they? Or
They're not really studied here in Colombia. We think we might have a population from the southern part of the continent. So it will be the peregrine falcon, but the Cassini subspecies. And we do get the northern Anatum and Tundrius during the migration. So right now they're in Bogota, they're coming through and all this stuff. And then they just leave for the summer. You don't really see them, and then they come back. But they haven't really been studied here.
because I always remember like articles or photos of them is also in downtown parts of cities, like on skyscrapers and so on. It would be cool if we could see them like diving off the Colpatria building.
That would be awesome. Yeah, and actually, there's a couple of pictures from them in one of the. They're not, Bogota. They're not really tall buildings, but there's a couple. I think in the 7th or 8th floor, and you can see a pair of peregrines. You see them a lot in the antennas, like the phone antennas, and there's actually one right outside my office. And I saw a couple, a pair last week, and then I've seen a couple individuals here and there the past month. So it's fun.
That's cool, but you know what you're looking for too. I mean, other people would just say, "Oh, yeah, it's just a hawk or something."
That is true. Yeah.
So this is really cool. I mean, I think this is excellent, and of course, we need to raise some sort of awareness here, and that the urban wildlife, because there is a whole slew of animals, and of course, the birds are. We just think of pigeons. I think in downtown Bogota, as they say, the rats with wings and so on. The kids paying with the corn and paying for corn and have them all over them. It just makes me shudder thinking of the filth. But anyway, so I mean, you got involved and that was it. You wanted to stay in the US, but it didn't work out. I mean, we know the story. You came back and you volunteered with this group. So just this fundación. Where are they based? Where's the office?
They're based in Pereira.
Ah.
So the coffee access.
Yeah. So, but you can't go down there every weekend.
I can't. Last time I went there, well, it was actually a month ago, a couple weeks ago. I went there, yeah. Sometimes you get cheap
flights, cheap
fares.
buses.
Yeah. And planes. It's cheaper. I mean, it's just easier. If you travel by land, it'll be like 8-10 hours.
Do you have to go through La Linea?
La Linea. Yep. Yeah.
The infamous tunnel.
And then that's a mess, and you're like, I don't even know if I'm gonna get there. So if you take the plane, it will be probably about the same amount of money if it's a cheap one, and then you'll be there in 30 minutes. So it's like no.
Well, you could get stuck on one side of La Linea and take a selfie in front of the Duque Memorial there.
Oh man!
There you go.
I mean, whenever I'm going through there, I'm gonna do that. Like,
take the photo. But you won't fit in the picture. It's so big.
No, I'm probably gonna have to ask somebody on the other side of the road to take it. And hope to God they won't steal my phone.
That's it. Well, we digress. But so how is it then? How do you volunteer for this one? Are you like the Bogota chapter then, or are you here?
Yes, well, and I handle a lot of the information flow basically. So I get the information, there's a bird over there, and some people will tag me or tag the foundation, and then the director will be like, hey, can you please check this out, or stuff like that. And we're doing this, we're doing that, we're selling this, we're selling that, and all that stuff. And we talk daily, so I'm just not there physically, but I'm here whenever they need something. He needs a paper sign, he needs a document, he needs a letter, and I'll just do it. So
you're the dog's body, as they say. So but tell me, I mean, the thing that really got me interested in what you were doing is that there was a photo of you guys. I guess you had rehabilitated and completely rescued some huge bird and were releasing it back into the wild about a month ago, I would think. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, this was a black and chestnut eagle, a juvenile. She was found near the foundation. So the whole rescuing part was done by the authorities in the city in Pereira. And she was moved to her center. She was treated at the Bioparque Cumari, which is the zoo there. She had, I don't know, she was emaciated. She had a tibia fracture that was consolidated already, and she was just basically skin, bones, and feathers. That was it. So they started the first day. They brought her back to life and started slowly feeding her up. And she died. She almost died like 3 times. It was some weird thing. She'll just go down and be all cathartic and just, almost dead. And then she'll just perk up and that's it. I was like, well, we did tests and everything. And nothing really conclusive showed up, like nothing. Then they finally, I think it was a antibiotic therapy, like a hardcore one or a more specific one. And after that, she was fine. She was all perked up and gaining weight and, feisty and awesome. And I was like, yeah. So our foundation does falconry techniques to rehabilitate. So we got her we put on jesses. She got her on the perch and with the hood, and she started looking at around. She like started flying from perch to the lure, and she was awesome. After like 4 weeks of that, just flying back and forth, she was just flying and trying to take off. So we did a Koreans thing, so she could get a little bit more of time flying, but and then we use bungee cords, so the head is not that hard. So she kind of has, she knows the resistance. Well, she'll start feeling the resistance. She'll just detour and land on a tree, and we're like, okay, that's she's clever. Plus, she's awesome because most of them will just come down and like, oh crap, I'm on the ground.
Hit the elastic.
Yeah. She'll think of like, oh my god, on the ground. No, she will just go to a tree and perch, and like, okay, she's freaking clever too. Awesome. And well, once she was ready, she was released. It was amazing.
So this is a crazy amount. I just think that the dedication, you've got bungee cords attached to it, and then she knows, of course, she knows where the limit of the elasticity point is. So they're clever. But how does a bird get into such poor health? What happened to her?
Well, we don't really know. She also had a scarring thing going on in the abdomen. So, and she was found by the side of the road. So I don't know if maybe she was hit by a car. It's not, for that species, it's not really common to get hit by cars because, they live in a forest where there's not a lot of cars. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a territorial dispute since she was a juvenile, or maybe she just fell weirdly, broke her leg, and then just stayed on the ground, or we don't really know what happened to her. She wasn't shot, which is weird because this species tends to be shot because they eat chickens, and that's their major issue, and that's a major concern we have, the conflict with humans. She wasn't shot, surprisingly, so we don't really know what happened. We're just glad that she was able to rehab and fly off.
Yeah, because that would be my principal concern here, is that farmers, they'll kill anything that threatens their livestock, their livelihoods, even, and to an extent, I understand to an extent, but
no,
put a chicken against a horse.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they usually prey on chickens from farmers that are not that big. That's the thing. And they leave off their eggs, they leave off their chickens, and it's understandable. They have 10 chickens, and if the freaking eagle is eating 1 a week or 2 a week, and then we have a problem, right?
Yeah.
And it's totally understandable. And you're not going to get them to stop shooting at them, telling them that they're wrong by shooting the eagle. That's not how it works, because they're going to be like, it's my land, it's my birds, I'm going to shoot whatever I want. And you're like, okay. So, you have to play it. You have to play it to lay it down low and just, work with them and, tell them you understand. Because again, I understand. It would probably be annoying that I have my chickens and a freaking eagle comes and eats them. So, you just try your best to, help them. They don't have a whole lot of money to, build a fancy chicken coop or actually feed them, because that's one of the major issues. They let them free roam because, you know, they find bugs and they find food outside, so they don't have to feed them, they don't have to give them protein. But they also don't understand that if you give them a better protein source, they're probably going to start laying eggs earlier.
Yeah.
So it's just a whole thing that you have to, you know, make them see that, hey, you need to probably keep these birds a little bit more restrained, give them a little bit better, but then you might start getting more money out of them because they're going to start, you know, producing eggs sooner.
Right. It's a whole re-education package. Almost.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. That's the thing. You need to educate them and they have to learn to coexist, because that's the whole thing.
That's the whole thing. Now, listen, where I am right now, you know, it's not the bird life so much. We have no endemic species as far as I know here. It's just sort of migratory in huge amounts, but not so much the birds. Is that on occasion, once I've seen a manatee, you know, going down the Brazo de Montpos once. And of course, all the kids clambered up to the bank and started throwing stones at it. And I'm just thinking, it's a whole culture around that here, unfortunately. You know, I ended up being the crazy bitter gringo telling them all off. but it's a role I already fill, so I'm not so worried about it. Yeah. I've been filling that role.
You were up to the task. Yeah, you were up to the job.
For more than for more than 13, 14 years, I've been filling that role, so it's okay. But it's just
to keep up that image, right?
Yeah, you know, it's like, but it's that kind of thing. And you know, even something as ordinary as an iguana, which I think are just the most incredibly beautiful animals, and they'll stop and throw stones, and you're like, come on. And I think that's what you're up against here as well, huh?
Yeah. It's that kind of that lack of empathy, because nobody taught them. I mean, they grew up with the animals, and the animals, you know, you eat the animals, you do that to the animals. Yeah. So I mean, that's a giant chicken. Why won't you kill it? And that giant chicken is eating your chicken. So I mean, just shoot it.
So what you know, so you know this. How do you know then when one of these bird is, you pretty much worked it out, I guess, that she's ready to go. She's ready to fly off. Tell us about the procedure then, because I don't know, you don't just sort of open the net and say, be free. I mean, there's a whole process.
Yep. Well, I mean, once you start showing that she's ready, I mean, you know, she has more endurance, she's looking more feisty, she's looking at you like, oh, you're danger, I need to, you know, go the other way, which is what you want, because being a top predator like that, they're not in trouble a whole lot. So once they start looking at you like that, like, oh crap, I need to go the other way, I need to fly out, and then you start looking at them, you look at them and they're flying well, there's symmetry in their wings, she's flapping well, she's doing all this stuff, she's eating amazingly and all that stuff. That's when you're like, okay, she's ready to go. Then you find a spot. We usually try to return them to where they come from.
Yeah,
that's their territory, that's what they know.
Okay.
Because again, she's a juvenile, she's probably still within territories, and their parents are going to be a little bit more tolerant, I guess, towards her presence, probably. So if we release her somewhere else that we don't know, she might, you know, have issues, then we're condemning her. So we try to release the birds from where they come from, unless they're migratory. That doesn't really matter at that point. But with these ones, we try to release them and where they come from, especially, you know, with the big eagle. So we don't have issues with territories and all that stuff.
Wow, and that's, I mean, incredibly important. But I guess that's kind of like, you know, sort of you could work with humans as well. You just don't, you know, don't leave them where their enemies are, kind of thing. It's so interesting. Now, one time I was in Panama in a national park that runs alongside the canal, and they had sedated a harpy eagle because it was sick. I was like, how big was that thing? I mean, I'm sitting at a table now that seats 6. It would have laid healthily on the table. It was just. Have you dealt with a harpy eagle in the past?
I haven't handled one. We right now we have a patient, male harpy with a crooked neck. We thought he got hit by something, but apparently he was shot. So he had this lead pellet leaking blood in his brain. So that's what he was all screwed up. one of the vets figured that out and gave him some meds. He's doing a whole lot better. So I saw it, but I sadly haven't handled one yet. Hopefully it's coming eventually. But yeah, they're massive. They're huge. Beautiful birds, but they're huge.
So at the moment in the foundation in Pereira, how many birds more or less are you dealing with?
We have, well, right now our foundation worked with a weird contract with the authorities. And a couple years ago, they didn't renew it. So we were kind of, doing the things on the wrong side of the law.
Don't say that.
I mean, we got the permit from the authorities, but we didn't have any contracts at the time. So we didn't have, the whole thing going. And we're doing the whole accrediting thing, all the stuff, and we're doing that. So we don't have a whole lot of birds right now. But there was a point earlier this year, the beginning of the year, we had 2 black and chestnut eagles, a black and white hawk eagle, the harpy. Then we were going to receive a black and chestnut eagle chick that didn't come to us, but somewhere else, and sadly didn't make it. And then we have our resident birds that, we have 2 black and chestnut eagles that they're old and they don't have. We have another one at the Bioparque Kumari, doing the whole education thing. And we have 3 ornate hawk eagles. So we have about 20 birds right now.
Wow, that's a lot though. I mean, and especially for a foundation that, you're funded by donations.
We are actually funded by our director. He does, his company does most of the funding, like 99% of it. We don't get a whole lot of donations. And which is sad because I'm maybe a little bit biased, but we do a good job. So but yeah, we're always looking for people to donate, and so you're more than welcome to donate.
No, make the call. What is the website so we can see?
fada.org.co.
So FADA. .org.
Right now we're under construction because we had to switch old stuff and it was old and we had to get it on. But if now we can do PayPal, we can just contact us and we'll figure it out.
What about a crowdfunding campaign? To get onto.
We have done a couple ones. It's just so hard to get the money here that I've tried to keep them a little bit on the low side. So we just asked for a couple, $1,000 or stuff like that. We've never been really successful in reaching our target, but the last one we did get like $2,500, so that wasn't bad. It helped a lot with we had to change the whole wood part for the enclosures, which was a lot. So, and that funded a little bit over half of it, so that helped a lot.
I think the ones that are aiming, in my experience, and again, we digress a little bit, in my experience, when I've watched or look at crowdfunding or tried to do it myself, unsuccessfully, of course, is having a small, very focused campaign works. And now I'm a trustee for a small NGO based out of England called Children Change Colombia, and they have 6 projects in Colombia, again, small projects. And they do online things like now it's a virtual dance class or a virtual auction or a virtual cooking class. And they might get, let's say $400 or $500 from one of these. And that is enough because it's small for, a month or a month and a half of funding a project, which is, I love that because the money goes directly to the project and to the people in need, or let's say in your case, the raptors in need. So it's I think these focused ones. But so tell me a bit more though, because I mean one of my, and I'll go back to the birding theme here. One of my concerns here in Colombia, because of I would say the lack of state involvement and also the state involvement. So let's put both of them out on the table, and the easiness, I think, for the trade in wildlife, the trade in exotic species. I think it's pretty easy here, isn't it, to get hold of whatever and then sort of, let's say, sell it to the highest bidder, the guy who wants something exotic on his own ranch or farm. I mean, we were watching, again, it's not totally related, but the Tiger King, that documentary series on Netflix. And all of these weird guys that start collecting things. There must be like the weird people who collect birds like this too, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, let's start with big cat people are weird too. So let's go there. But bird people are also weird. And you see, the thing is now with the internet and all this stuff, you see a lot of people in other countries having macaws and having these cute, awesome parrots and all this stuff. And then you see the same parrots right outside your door, and you're like, I saved it and all that stuff. And sometimes it's just minor things like that, and the bird then gets confiscated and then goes into the whole system and ends up dying because it's a bird that's used to people and nobody looks at him anymore when he's in the rehab centers. But the trading is also awful. I mean, you get a lot of animals captured from the wild. They're not even being bred in captivity. So and the country's so vast, so big, they're used to the drug. They probably use the same drug routes to move the animals, and it's probably funded by the same funds too. And there's not a whole lot of people looking at it, like authorities wise.
Well,
So
it's not seen as
catch a couple, that's it.
It's just not seen in the same.
I mean, from some people it is, but we have a massive drug issue with a lot of violence. I mean, who's going to care about the 10 parrots that they're moving? I mean, if they catch them, great, we're great. Woo, good for you. If they don't, then okay, well, I mean, we did catch a ton of coke, so there you go.
Yeah.
So it's not as big as issue. I mean, it is a massive trade around the world, but here it's not seen as such right now. We're hopefully changing that by educating people, making them care and all that stuff. But it's still, I mean, I think we could do a whole lot more. But again, I mean, there's not a whole lot of force and army and stuff, and they're dealing with other stuff. So I mean, sometimes I guess to a point it's understandable. I mean, it pisses me off, but there's other issues also to pressing the country, and while I've tried, it's not on top priority.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. I mean, in another lifetime, I actually worked for the WWF in the UK, and so we did a lot of work on the CITES, wildlife crime. In fact, I think it was founded in part by the WWF, if I'm not mistaken. But we did see in the studies the same organized crime groups were the ones who could deal with. But at the same time, it's not quite as exciting as 10 tons of cocaine or a bird, but to some people. But if you can see the same roots and you can see the same practices, surely then it all converges. But well, we're barking up a tree here in Colombia again. You say that.
I mean, you've seen it. You know how it works. So it's
it's a territory. It's too big as well. But so let's talk about as well, because you get you put these photos online, which is part, I think, of your outreach. And when you have one of these, let's say, chestnut, black and white chestnut eagle, what's it like to hold it? What's it like to have it in your arms, one of these birds? Because I'm scared of picking up a chicken.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. I'm scared of picking up chickens.
Good.
Let's not even go there. I mean, raptors are just other things, but I mean, I'd rather battle 10 harpy eagles than one macaw.
Okay.
Nope, that big,
Okay.
But it's amazing. I mean, there's not just whenever you start holding a raptor, maybe for education or falconry if you're somewhere else, not in Colombia because it's not legal here, but it's just it's just awesome. It's just life changes. I mean, for me, so you get all from holding them and you see that whenever you're doing outreach, and maybe adults, they're amazed.
Yeah.
And they are just in this state that they're like, holy crap, that bird is amazing. And that helps. That switches that they change sometimes. They're so big, it's so awesome and powerful, and we're shooting it. No, let's start. So they try to change some stuff like that. So we try to do outreach like that, and we try to show the birds, because you don't get to see the bird that close. And if you see the bird that close, you get involved. You start having empathy. You see the bird as an individual, as an animal, and you're like, okay, we need to help this bird. And well, not this one, but the one that's out there eating my chicken. So we need to focus on that. And we have done that, and it's just amazing. You see the kids just wide eyes, open mouth. They're like, wow, that's just not something you see every day. So it's powerful, and it's empowering, I think.
Well, I would say that's the key thing, isn't it? The sort of environmental education that needs to come in to understand. It's all well and good to create campaigns for international travelers and stuff, but we need to start at home here. We need to start, and of course, as you said, you need to understand where the farmer's coming from and so on. But also, children just need to grow up with a conscience as to what is around them. This country is phenomenal for its wildlife species. And you said you do take them into, do workshops and stuff, but is this something you're going to do in the future more? Are we going to be able to see, your foundation going around the country to educate?
Yes, I actually got a grant to study the diet of the eagle. We're gonna do it in Antioquia, but sadly the security is not well right now over there. So I'm switching, and I'm going to probably Huila to start there. The conflict the conflict over there is also hardcore, and I know there's a couple of nests, so I'm just gonna try to figure out which one start. Once you study the diet and you understand how important, if it is important, the chicken to the diet, or if it's not, then you can go to the farmers and be like, hey, look, these are the findings. Let's do this. Let's do that. You can start creating strategies to mitigate that conflict. And that's the whole idea of this study, and that's the whole idea of getting this grant, to start doing that, maybe in one spot, and then just growing up from there. Once you start showing results, I'm pretty sure people will be like, hey, let's donate to this cause. This is awesome. They're doing awesome jobs, and they're doing amazing work with them and all that stuff. So that's the idea, and should be doing something the next months.
That's very exciting.
Let's hope it works out. Yeah.
But you need we all only have 20-second concentration spans now. So you need some great Instagram clips of the release of birds, or what's happened, the before and after shots. You need that stuff, right?
Yeah, that never hurts. That actually helps a lot, because it catches people attention, and that's what you need. You need people to be like, oh crap, that's an eagle. Let's see what happened. And then they'll be like, why is that eagle? And like, okay, read the post, man. Okay, you're not gonna read it, then let me tell you, this is what happened, blah blah blah, and this is what's going on, blah blah blah, and all that stuff. And but yeah, it helps. I mean, social media helps. It can be damning, it can be damaging, but it also can be a really useful tool to not only share information, but just tell people what's going on there. Make them realize what's happening, and get them close to maybe other places.
Now, you've mentioned on a few occasions the issue of the armed conflict here in Colombia, and you said Antioquia and of course Huila. And we know all about these things and the landmines and everything else, and those of us here are very aware. A lot of reports come out saying that, of course, the conflict has helped protect bird species. Are you in agreement with that? I mean, is that something you can say, yes, it's true, these areas that have been off limits, the conflict has helped protect species?
Okay. Well, from what I've heard from other people that have been in the field during this conflict, where the FARC used to be they used to have a better forest coverage. They didn't like just cut it off like sometimes the ELN does. So you did see, and then there are some places that were, that were out of limits. You couldn't go, so no colonizers, no nothing. They just move through, but they have the forest coverage, so the drones and the planes and all that stuff couldn't see them. So I mean, to a certain point, it is true. There are some other places that were off limits to people, so they were just conserved. After the peace treaty, we've seen a lot of deforestations in national parks that you couldn't go before because there were FARC there. And now you see there's just a lot of trees fell down and cutting, and a lot of cows moving in, and lots of illegal mining, gold mining. So it sucks. It did help for a little bit. Now the peace treaty is out, you can access these places, but some of them are being destroyed. So kind of sucks.
You're up against the economic model of this. And but what have you been down into some of these areas then that have been recently opened up to do studies? Have you got in trouble with any armed groups?
No.
No.
I try not to. Nope. I mean, I might be dumb sometimes, but I don't mess with those things. I mean, I grew up here with the whole pescas milagrosas and all that stuff, and that's something. If somebody tells you don't go there, I'm like, okay, I won't go there. That's it. I won't ask. I won't do anything, because I've learned from my bosses all the time. They tell me you are worth more living than that. So, and you can help the animals, you can help people more if you're alive and not in danger. So just don't be stupid. So I try not to.
I'm glad to hear that. It's common sense in a lot of. So finally, final element to this conversation. You can go back to your 9 to 5, and I appreciate so much your time. We need to ask. I mean, I looked at the foundation, and are you the only woman working at the foundation? I mean, this is an interesting, we think of birding and we think of bird watchers, and we seem to think of men going around this, but how is the birding community here in Colombia? Women are involved?
There are a lot of women involved. I know a lot of women birders, and I try to connect more with them, to be honest. I get a lot of friend requests on Facebook, and if you're a male and you're single and you're in the middle age, nope, I don't even know you, man. We can have a lot of friends in common. I don't even know you. But for women, I do, because we need to stick up together. And I know a lot of women birders. They're all amazing women, and they know a lot. Holy God. So I try to connect with them a lot. Currently at the foundation, I am the only woman, but it's just me, the director, his sons, and that's it. So it's not a big circle.
It's not a big circle. It's not.
But yeah, exactly. But I am trying to pull a lot of women into the business or the industry or whatever, because I think it's important that we have more women presence.
Precisely, it's needed. And we know that. I mean, I've had women birders on the show, as I mentioned previously, and the knowledge that comes out is, I don't know a lot about birding at all. I mean, I appreciate it, and I appreciate beautiful species, but I'm not a professional in any way, shape, or form. But I appreciate it, and if I was taken out, I would be like in awe. I know, but this community there is a community of women birders, and there's great solidarity and there's great strength. And so, I'm urging those of you out there listening to follow Ana Maria's, where she's the FADA, fada.org.co.
Yep, that's it.
And look up Ana Maria for any I think tips for Colombia. I think that's probably. Of course, if you're a single middle-aged man, do not do that.
You can contact me, just don't add me yet. Let's get to know each other first.
Yeah. Well, also, I think I made the cut because I'm a married middle-aged man, so that's all right.
There you go. I mean, you have a kid. There's nothing.
Two.
Because it's Twitter.
Yeah.
You have 2. Okay, there you go.
That's why. Can you see the bags under my eyes? I have 2. But anyway, listen. I'd like to say thank you so much for your time and for sharing so unselfishly your knowledge about this subject. And I think that there are people out there who will want to help the foundation, who will want to, at the very least, promote you, so FADA, FADA.org.co. Please sign up and check out, or get in touch with Ana María Morales Cañizales, and she will, point you in the right direction. So let me take this moment to say thank you so much for your time, Ana María.
No, thank you, Richard, for having me. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it was wonderful, really interesting, and really, quite emotive to know how you are moved by these birds of prey. I mean, how cool.
Yeah, it's a passion. It's a passion.
Well, thank you again. And so this is me signing off for episode 370 of the Colombia Calling podcast. Thank you so much for all of you who've been tuning in. We've been having great shows of late. Last week, Malcolm Linton talking about the photography workshop we're launching here in Monpós, and prior to that, of course, Children Change Colombia, and indeed Bruce McLean talking about tourism here. So we've been jumping around in the subject matter, as always, trying to keep it fresh and interesting. And I think next week, hopefully, we'll have an Irish guy who's been working for many, many years in the comunas of Medellin and talking about his work there. So always trying to keep it interesting. Thank you for listening, and of course, share far and wide so that we can continue to survive and get the message out about Colombia. All right, and bye-bye.